conversation. Apple, in the way that they can dominate a media cycle and kind of suck all the air out of the room for a tech conversation, just dropped some crazy expensive headphones, and I could think of no better person to join me on this conversation than LFA Reviews. Jeff, thank you so much for jumping in short notice, making this happen.
Absolutely, man. You know I had to be here.
So while I'm getting this intro started, I am literally grabbing a link so that I can tweet this out, because I'm really bad at doing the off-the-cuff live streams. I have just tagged you in a tweet, Jeff. So,
perfect.
People will sort of know that we're up to this thing. But no, we are looking at AirPods Max, a new style of wireless headphone coming from Apple. Plenty of aspirational commentary, lots of big claims from Apple. This is kind of their shtick when it comes, especially to their accessories market and their audio market. Jeff, the news dropped this morning. We're on the West Coast, which means we're barely through our first cup of coffee. What was just that initial reaction? We kind of had some idea that a product like this was coming. What did you think when you actually saw them in an Apple marketing material bit?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was immediately I summoned the spirit of Flossie Carter, and in my head the price was too goddamn high. But that was the immediate reaction. I knew it was coming. I knew that kind of a hit, that kind of a blow was coming. But that was my initial thoughts on it. And then after that, it's my general curiosity because, I'm a headphone guy. Like Juan knows, you know what it's like. And, we're just interested, like, hey, what is it? Is it going to be any good? Is it, what's, and I have those questions just like a lot of people would have the same type of questions. Are they worth this price tag? Like, who is this for? So, but initially, it's like when those, not to badmouth Dolby, but when those Dolbys came out at $650, I was like, really? So yeah. So it's one of those things where I'm like, this better be something serious. So yeah, I'm excited for it, but it's also one of those things where I'm like, that price, man, just.
And I mean, we should detail that for anyone who hasn't read through the press releases like we have. $550. If you were thinking that over-the-ear headphones from Apple would only be twice the price of AirPods Pro, you were sadly mistaken.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty serious, dude. And I mean, we're talking $550 California that works out to just a hair over $600 out the door. It's steep. Like there's no other way around it. It's very steep. So these really need to bring it. And they pack a lot of tech into them. I'm not at all surprised by that. But it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, that buying is expensive, man. So obviously it's not gonna be for everybody.
I'm glad you mentioned tech. I just so happened to roll onto the Apple site talking about the actual headphone tech. And I think this is where, again, I've been critical of Apple audio in the past. I was not a big fan of, I was actually very hateful towards the original AirPods Pros. I felt a little bit better about. But I'm looking at what they're detailing here, and we're talking $550, and it's a fancier single driver design. And in true Apple fashion, it's not like they're detailing driver size. They're talking about cool microphones and magnetic motorized sort of stabilization hardware. But at $550, I mean, this puts us in territory of like planar magnetics, things that are known for just exacting incredible fidelity. And this is one of the concerns I have, where there's so much other Apple tech. We're paying premiums for things that really don't have anything to do with audio.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm kind of interested to see where it's going to go. I know Apple's been investing heavily into their audio division. So they're really doing some pretty awesome stuff, but it's also, the whole Apple speak on the website is always kills me, because it's like, can you just tell us what it is? Like, I don't want to hear about magic and unicorns in these headphones. I want to know what is it? Like, what are we talking here?
I mean, audio technology, Apple designed dynamic driver. It's a dynamic driver.
Yeah.
Like you can dress this up any way you want. The 9 microphones total, 8 microphones for active noise cancellation, and don't forget the Apple H1 headphone
Of
chip
course.
on each ear cup. So to me, let me get out of screen share here. To me, it really does feel like a lot of what they're proclaiming, a lot of what they're highlighting, these are problems that need to be fixed because Apple has been getting rid of things like headphone jacks. Your ability to share audio, your ability to move headphones from a phone to a laptop or from a phone to a tablet. These are all solutions to problems that Apple created.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to make it sound like this is some magnanimous, magical technology that before we had no way. You had no way to easily move your headphones from your phone to your tablet. It just couldn't happen, except for unplugging the cable and plugging it in. But no, it just was impossible. We're Apple.
Oh, and the cable's not included, right?
Well, this is the other thing I wanted to ask you. So my Discord kind of blew up a little. I'm sure there was some chatter on your Discord too. Is there no cabled audio solution for these?
There is, as far as I can tell. You can do a Lightning to 3.5, similar to the Beats Solo Pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what and so like at checkout they're offering you this other like $35 Apple cable, and I'm like, I'm gonna pass on that right now.
Yeah.
But it's because that's a Lightning MFI to 3.5 is an easy enough cable to find on Amazon for $5 or whatever, so it's not a big deal. But it's just one of those things where I'm pretty sure that's going to be the solution as far as wired goes, but it's I don't think it's going to be the same thing. And I'm definitely not a fan of headphones removing the headphone jack.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that at all. But I mean, we already know. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Apple. So they're going to do it their way. But I'm excited. I want to test it out and see if there's any difference, running them wired versus that.
Yeah, and you were saying before we jumped into the live stream that you already had your order in and that the shipping date is already sliding. So $550 is already I like where I would have said that's a no-go. I'm not going to front these on my channel at $550 as sort of a general consumer tech channel. I think you have an editorial responsibility, Jeff. That's why you have to buy these things.
I don't have a choice, man.
Your hands are tied. I'm going to pimp the crap out of your coverage because I won't be rolling any of my own.
Yeah.
Says the guy who's doing a live stream with custom molded IEMs. So apparently this price tag wasn't a deal breaker for the initial batch. I can't believe that Apple had huge reserves of these headphones, but they're already slipping past their first batch.
I'm surprised.
I mean, again, I've got kind of like you were saying, like you're excited, you're looking forward to. I actually am too. I have kind of a sick fascination with.
It's curiosity for me more than anything else. So, because it's not like I like my Apple products, but it's not like the AirPods are my favorite thing on earth or anything like that, as far as an audio solution is concerned.
Right.
But it's just really, like yours is almost like a morbid fascination. I'm very curious to see what it is. And I've heard so much about them for so long that I'm like, I kind of need to know what the deal is, where they're going to stack up, because I know where my North Star is as far as a wireless headphone goes. That's the Drop THX Panda. That's numero uno. That's a planar, that's a planar headphone, and it's a beast. So for those that aren't aware in the chat of what the Drop THX Panda headphones are, you definitely should look them up. But I know where that is. So I need to see kind of where they're going to stack up, because I have those, I don't have those at the moment, but I've got the Sony XM4s. I've got the Sennheiser Momentum 3. So I want to make sure, like, I'm going to see kind of where are these going to stack up on a sound quality scale. Never mind like the spatial audio and like all that other stuff. I want to see how they're going to line up for that price.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I've been putting together combos because like my audio widget of the year has definitely been the FIO BTR5.
Oh yeah, so I think it's awesome.
Moving this back and forth between like like my Odysseys, the LCD ones you can pick up for like $300 now.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw the price tag, I was like, wow, for the price of a BTR5, my Odysseys, my LCD ones. And you could probably also throw in a pair of Bear Dynamic DT770s. You can own one pair
Yeah.
of Apple headphones.
Dude, it's wild, man. It's we're like playing at a different level. Like, it's like my buddy Mr. Techran said that these are the Apple Take Your Whole Wallet edition, or AirPods Take Your Whole Wallet edition. But
Yeah,
it's
that
it's
definitely sounds like Trent.
yeah.
So no,
But
like that actually kind of brings up one of the points that I wanted to ask you about, man. Like I kind of feel Apple gets away with a conversation that in any other sphere, any other company, we could talk about a Sony, we could talk about, a Bose, any of these other consumer facing audio brands. I have ended so many of my headphone review videos saying budget around multiple solutions. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. If you enjoy audio as the activity, like listening to music can be the activity all by itself, and it's not just a soundtrack. You want a solution for that. You want a solution for an airplane. You want a solution for a workout. And I kind of feel like Apple at $550 for a pair of over-ear cans is likely gonna have that conversation where it's like, well, it's just so good, why would you want to use anything else?
yeah.
And I look at over-ear cans and think like, man, I don't like sweating into those. That sucks. That's not what I want to use for a workout.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. So that's what, yeah, I mean, I know some people do. I know most people, at least the consumers that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, they want earbuds for, workouts and things of that nature. So I know there's supposed to be a sport version, and I don't know if that's just based on, headband replacement or ear pad replacement, the magnetic ear pads and all that stuff. But I don't know, man. I guess I just have to wait and see, like, how's the clamping force on them? What does the build feel like? But I have for this price, and being that it's Apple, I am setting the bar high. Like,
Yeah.
I am setting this bar very high. Be like, these, I better be blown away by everything from unboxing them to the way that they feel in my hands and the material feel. I better be blown away. Like, it's going to be, and I'm not trying to be overly harsh or harsher than I usually be, but it's one of those things where, if you're going to spend this much money, especially right now where a lot of people are hurting, it's like, they better bring it. So,
I mean, does that feel a little tone deaf to you? Because I feel like this is a product we've been talking about since pre-pandemic, and the timing definitely, I mean, again, global pandemic has ruined so many product launches for so many companies. This isn't like, this isn't on Apple. Every manufacturer has had some issue with distribution and getting their products out the door.
yeah.
But I kind of feel like this is a last minute push just for the final extraction of some families' Christmas budgets.
Yeah.
Putting them out, the first week of December, to me, like, in kind of complimenting what you just said, it feels a little tone deaf.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I understand from their standpoint why they did it, because I know they were supposed to be released back around the time of the iPhone, or probably like September initially or originally, but everything got, COVID pushed everything back. They're not the only company. I know so many companies that are dealing with the same thing. Sure. So it's one of those things, but I mean, it's rough, man. And I guess I can't blame them. All the delays probably.
I can. I'm going to blame them. I'm just, like, we'll just say it's blame.
Yeah, that's
I feel like you could have held off this announcement and joined like another like iPad announcement and made it more of a like, Apple product services. Wait for a fun announcement for Apple Music. Do some kind of combo there. To me, the timing on this does feel like we've got some inventory. We're sitting on this product. We need to extract value. People have already tapped out. Like, the numbers on AirPods and AirPods Pro, we know what this market looks like, so let's squeeze them now. Like, I don't have high confidences for Apple as an altruistic entity.
Yeah, I mean, business is business, so I get it. But it's just one of those things where, I mean, if you have it, then hey, I mean, go for it. But it's one of those things where, I mean, it's not going to be for everybody. And thankfully, there are solutions, albeit most of them not from Apple, but there are solutions that come in for everybody's price points. So I'm like,
Where, if you're watching this stream, I can heartily direct you to Jeff's YouTube channel, LFA Reviews, where he's got probably the finest collection of headphone reviews this side of the Mississippi. So please give him a shout, give him a subscription. You just broke 45,000 subscribers.
Yeah, yeah, on
Great
Sunday
little
night, man.
milestone.
Yeah.
I was proud of you there.
Yeah, we're getting there, man, little by little. So, I'm pretty juiced. I'm pretty excited, man. So I never expected to be even along this far, to be completely honest. So
I really feel the goal I'm putting on you for 2021 is by this time next year is to add an extra 0 to the end of that subscriber count.
That'd be awesome, man.
Because I feel you deserve it. All right, I gotta put you on the spot here because you're actually throwing your money at some of these. WTF this case?
Oh, I mean, man, I saw that and I was just like, what?
So much engineering. There isn't anything fancy here, like, crazy super high technology drivers or internals. Yeah. Words are failing me for this as a product. Apple couldn't even give us a collapsible headphone design. I have planners that can collapse. Like what are we doing, bro?
Man,
seriously,
I'm honestly, when I saw that, I'm like, they really couldn't just give us a case, like a case. You know what I mean? Like a hard shell with a zipper all the way around it, where it like protects them, kind of a case. I mean, is this too much to ask for? I have there's $40 headphones on the market right now that include cases.
Well, and also this like folding flappy thing doesn't help.
Yeah.
What we want is like a pouch.
Yeah. Something.
So like the Odysseys, there's a hard case, but then I also use a soft microfiber pouch. This is all still open. So if this gets thrown into a bag or anything, there's going to be little bits of gunk that get kind of trapped in with your headphones, and ears are kind of filthy. Ears are gross biological adaptations. So this to me does not only does it not inspire confidence, to me, it's a detriment where depending on how you store them and travel with them, it could make the cleanliness situation even worse.
You know what? I fully expect a $150 Apple case. You mark my words. I'm fully expecting a like $150-ish Apple AirPods, case for this thing. So I wouldn't be surprised.
So $150 hard case, then a $250 battery hard case.
Oh,
so you can charge them as you go.
Dude, I would not be surprised, dude. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, that's where we are. So
we've got a super chat here real quick. I'm just gonna fire this up from Jeremy Moat. I find it interesting that most audiophile reviewer I follow is the most positive about these. He expects ANC and DSP to make them good. And thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate support on this channel, on this live stream, especially for how off the cuff this is. And I'm just rambling like crazy because, like I said,
we don't have any talking points, fam. We don't have any talking points today.
This is all just us going. I'm not even done with my first cup of coffee here. So that's actually a perfect segue. My audience is really good at setting me up to change subjects and change directions when I get stuck on one side. Lots of big claims.
Yeah.
I detailed driver technology because to me, I'm a hardware guy. I can kind of make headphones do what I want them to do with a little software tuning. There are a lot of really good apps out there to kind of customize playback. I like to lift to the mids. We've had those kinds of conversations before, but a product like this to me seems like it's likely gonna be a bit more hands off. Like one of the big selling points is a lot of this, not only spatial audio, but adaptive EQ and stuff like that makes me really nervous.
Yeah. I mean, so far I've had a good experience with the adaptive with my AirPods Pro. It's been pretty good. So, but there's instances for certain genres where I would like to adjust it myself, where it just doesn't quite respond the way that I would have responded to it. So there's instances in that way. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm sort of worried about. Hopefully it'll be a bit stronger with a larger driver size. There'll be a little more nuance to it. But we'll just have to wait and see. I think DSP is going to be really good, though.
Yes, no, I agree there. I think that the actual signal processing. I'm not worried about a dynamic driver with a Bluetooth 5 radio receiver and some kind of internal processing unit, we understand this. I mean, this
Mhm.
is actually well-worn territory. Even if Apple is really cribbing off of the Beats team for their audio experience, it's kind of like cameras. Apple has only just moved up to an extra large camera sensor on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I don't feel their algorithms are properly trained for those subtle differences in light, depth of field, HDR, image compression, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
Yeah.
so I kind of feel like they've got so much experience with these little earbud drivers that what you're saying, like, hey, man, I'm really hoping this is going to be more nuanced. My fear would be those adaptive changes are going to be magnified
Yeah.
because you have such a significant change in driver size.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's an entire possibility. So, I really would like the ability to not to, well, to be able to toggle that on and off, like on the AirPods Pro. I'd
Mhm.
like to have the ability to turn that on and off. I'd be like, you know what? Let me not fully shut off DSP, but just kind of like, hey man, set me an EQ and let's just stick with it and see kind of how that sounds one song to the next.
Yeah,
It's nice to have it where it processes that. The fact that it can even do that amount of calculation to constantly DSP itself this way, it's pretty cool. And for
it is
some
cool.
genres, it sounds amazing. Like when I'm listening to like classical or like some soul or stuff like that, it sounds really, really good. But when I switch over to like trap, hip hop, or anything just a little bit more strong, it's like not saying it can't keep up, but it just like it's not keeping up correctly.
Yeah.
So there's just little things about it that I'm just kind of like, can I just like unclick this and just kind of let it roll the way I want it to roll? But that's not in Apple's bag. They're not known for letting us do that kind of a thing. So
And especially when we start talking about those changes in genres, like yeah, I absolutely love spatial audio and 3D audio. I mean, even back to the creative days,
mhm.
like Creative's Super X5.
Yeah, those are
Apple
nice.
gets
Yeah.
all the credit for it now, but I mean, we've been playing with some of this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
I love that. I can pull up Kimiko Ishizaka. I cannot pronounce her last name, so I've just totally butchered it. But she's got like this beautiful, like you can get it for free, 24-bit FLAC files, Bach, just on a piano, and you throw some spatial audio in there, and it sounds like you're sitting next to her at a grand piano, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. And
Yeah.
as soon as I switch over to Daft Punk, I want to rip my earbuds out of my ears because spatial audio destroys the incredible nuanced mixing that goes into a Daft Punk track.
Yeah.
So to me that becomes a critical fear where if I don't have control over that, I'm gonna be upset. But then I also kind of feel like Apple has been, since the earliest days of the iPod, Apple has been kind of training consumers for a lowest level audio experience. So no matter what they step up to, this is going to sound substantially different. Ergo, it must be better. And because
Mhm.
it's Apple, it must be the bestest.
Yeah. I think if anything, it's going to be better than their own stuff, but better than the rest of the market is tough to say. Um, I think that's kind of the tougher point because that's the argument I get with people about like AirPods Pro, where they'll say they'll speak about them like it's a benchmark set, and I tell them no, it's not at least not for sound quality. It's not.
Not for quality.
No, it covers so many bases well for a general consumer that it's very good for that. So,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, because
overall, it's
from some of your recent reviews, and it's something that I've kind of cribbed, but I'm trying to make a bit more explicit, is I'm needing to categorize earbuds in terms of quality and techie.
mhm,
And so, do I have them on my desk? Oh, I don't have my LGs, but something like Pixel Buds.
mhm,
Pixel Buds are premium tier communicator buds.
mhm,
But these aren't, I mean, they sound good. I'm not trying to knock the audio quality. I think they're respectable performers. I don't really like the open, they're like they're in the ear design, but there's like an open passway so that
yeah,
sound can get in. But these are not anywhere near my first pick for sitting and consuming audio as the primary activity.
yeah, exactly.
And so I feel like everything that Apple's doing is making audio more convenient in a communication style, better integration with Siri, better noise reduction for some of these like commuter style experiences. I mean, like all these things are good. I still don't see where they've risen to their own branding. They've risen to their own marketing for delivering the most satisfying audio consumption experience at the price tier that they set
Yeah.
their products.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, man. And I think it's that they try to do so many things at once. And it almost seems like some things are kind of, there's more priority on certain aspects of a product. Like for me, with the AirPods Pro, like they have their noise canceling feature is very good. Their ambient sound feature is very good. The call quality is very good. Microphones are excellent. So it's one of those things where I think for people that do more talking on their phone than listening to music, it's going to be a better experience. If they're listening to podcasts or if they're watching video with them, awesome. Spatial audio with your iPad Pro, nice.
Great.
But for like an audio file experience, it's okay. It's okay, but there's better options on the market if you want that. So I don't know, man. Like I said, it's still very in the air. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm setting the bar high for these. So
yeah, I mean, like I think that kind of nails one of my concerns. I have every expectation that these are going to sound good. I'm ultimately very concerned about control and about sort of detailing what a nicer audio experience is, because I feel like I just finished the script, so I was gonna screen share there. I just finally finished my script for FIO Q3.
Oh, nice.
This little DAC amp guy right here. And in that script, I talk about like, I really feel techies, even sometimes myself included, we've done a disservice to the audio conversation, kind of being gatekeepers or making some of this stuff a little less accessible. Like I take certain parts of a conversation for granted when I talk about high quality audio products, and that might push some consumers away. And so then an Apple scoops in, and when I look at a $550 pair of headphones, and most of their talking points about those headphones fall in line with this average consumer kind of conversation, and that to me is where there's a discord. That's where there's a disconnect. $550 is not where we talk about covering the communications basics and having good, oh, look at how easy they are to pair with your phone. I mean, like that hasn't been a problem in years.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not magic. It was kind of cool the very first time you opened an AirPods case and an iPhone went, oh, hey, do you want to connect to these? Neat. Yeah. Great. Since then, we've moved on.
Yeah.
So that to me is part of the, on our side of the equation. Some of the concern I have is detailing what the experience is and understanding the nuance of that. It's like I feel like I need to rejoin this conversation and try and drag more people into considering what it is that they want from a good piece of audio.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I guess we'll just we kind of have to wait and see kind of how this all plays out. But I know exactly what you mean, and especially pricing them at this point. If they really wanted something for the general consumer, then there should have been I would say a lesser expensive option, and that not being the AirPods Pro, because there's a lot of people who can't use earbuds. I know my wife can't use earbuds. I know your wife can't use earbuds. So it's one of those things where, what are we talking at that point? Beats? That's what we have to tell our friends and family? Beats? Nah, man. So, I would like to see a different option from them, something a little more cost effective, but it's, what.
Well, to join that conversation, a man who used to have like the craziest headphone wall of all time, one Mr. Enabong Etta from Bored at Work. Hey, buddy.
What's up?
How's it going, man? Good. How you guys doing?
Man,
we're good. I'm so glad you could jump in. I totally hit you this last second. I know it's completely off the cuff, so I very much appreciate the both of you being able to jump in on this. And actually, that's one. Jeff was already talking. I'm still in screen share. You're looking at a pair of headphones here. I was like gesturing to the camera and stuff. You couldn't see me. I had my web browser up. So we've already been talking about, like pricing and sort of the position of the market. I completely agree with Jeff. I feel like this could have been a two-tier product. I feel with closed back cans, Apple could have come in with like a $300 AirPods Max and then a $550 AirPods Max NR, for extra noise cancellation or noise reduction. What do you think? Do you think that average consumers could have benefited from sort of a more modest tier over-ear headphone from Apple?
I think so. I think they missed the mark in pricing. Um, the 550 mark, there is nothing like that. So, and I brought some headphones just to,
Ooh, we got
showcase and prove
props.
my point.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of people, we know that the Sony, either the Mark threes or the Mark fours, these are the Mark fours, right? Are the go-to in that $300 price point. Funny
Mhm.
enough, though, today the Mark fours are cheaper than the Mark threes. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I can't tell you why. But that price point is where a lot of people play and they do a lot of good stuff. But in Apple's mindset, the AirPods Pro are 250,
Mhm.
right? Or maybe now 220 something because of the
Yeah, I mean,
holidays and
I've
all
seen
of
them
that,
at
right?
what, like the best sale I saw was like 190,
Yeah.
somewhere just under 200, something like
hmm
that.
So bringing in the Pro, the Max at 350 doesn't mentally make sense for them.
Yeah.
The way with their own pricing structures. Now, if I were to once I get them in hand and see how they perform, that's where things play. Because a lot of people talk about spatial audio on the um, AirPods Pro.
hmm
They're nice, but it's just like 360 audio, and it doesn't do anything for me personally.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where getting directional sound is great, but how good is the sound itself that is being directed?
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that Sony has a 360 audio, which I think is being improved, but then again, it's about what kind of sound you're getting. So a couple of things that I noticed some people were asking me, they're like, hey, it's got 40 millimeter drivers. I'm like, everybody has 40 drivers. That's not even an
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Like gaming headsets
Now,
are
so
40,
E,
50,
where
things
did you
like that.
find that? Because I mean, like I was making the joke earlier, like I was looking at their specs page, and like there's no information. It's Apple custom tuned dynamic driver, and you're like,
Uh,
that doesn't mean anything. I want to know what the actual tech specs are.
I mean, some people have stated, and like we were people asking me,
Oh,
and I was like, yeah,
we don't
yeah.
completely know yet.
No,
It's
yeah.
just okay, okay, okay.
But for me, I'm like 40
That's Apple.
drivers mean absolutely nothing to
Nothing.
me,
Yeah.
because it's like, for instance, the best pair of headphones I've used are from Focal, and those are, they're not graphite drivers. They are, I've forgotten what material they use, but the reverb on that is almost negligible. But again, that's why they cost $1,000.
Right.
And with headphones, it's the drivers, it's the tuning, who's
Mhm.
tuning your stuff as well. There's so much complexity to it. Now, some of the features I saw look nice. They've got the adaptive EQ, which sounds nice, but in my mind, I'm like, why do I want EQ to be adaptive in the set? Like that's just how I'm thinking off the bat. I'm like, I don't know if I need my EQs to change. Will they change per song? Will they change per environment? What's the deal with all that? And then how do they actually play with other headphones? I mean, with other smartphones? Because one of the things that Apple has done that has kind of frustrated me. So I mean, Jeff knows, we get a lot of headphones, true wireless buds. I've got cousins, friends. They're like, yeah, I need a pair. I'm like, yo, just take it, go use it.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Get
not
it out of
touching
here.
this. I'm not touching this again. I'm like, look, they're good. They're just not what I like. But also, again, either way, even if I like them, there's another pair coming, down
Yeah.
the line. You've got to cover.
Right.
And my cousins cannot use any of like a lot of headphones on their iPhones.
Really?
They cannot pair it, especially Huawei. So the free buds
Mm.
would not connect at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why. So I'm going, okay, yes, I'm sure it will work on Android devices, but will we get all those feature sets on Android devices? Will that also transfer over? Are we going to have some of that cutting off of,
And
to get the full experience, you need an iPhone, right? Or something like that.
and that's kind of an interesting kind of back and forth, and like Jeff, you've had some critical words for things like codecs and stuff, but when we look at upper tier and we're wanting to know that we are reproducing the highest fidelity signal. I'm in conversations on my Patreon with people that are only talking about DSD, like support for sort of crazy high bit rate placebo effect audio. Is there anything here that an Android fan is going to miss? They don't have the magic aptX label or the magic LDAC label. They might like Anabong was saying, they might not support all of the fun features or the multi-connection features if you're using them in the Apple ecosystem. Is there anything here that we're missing as an Android consumer, not being able to jump on, or even trying to connect AirPods Max to an Android device?
No, I mean, that's one of the things where I think Samsung did it a little bit better this time around, where they brought out an app that was available for both iOS and Android, so that you can really pair them and get the full experience, all the features, all the EQ and all that stuff. I seriously doubt that Apple's ever going to put out an app that can be compatible with Android. I would be I would fall out of my chair if that ever happened. But it's one of those things where I think theoretically, I think we should be able to pair them to an Android device.
Yeah.
Whether we'll be able to take full advantage of them, I don't know. Like, I don't think we're going to get a lot of the stuff that they feature. I'd be shocked if we had the adaptive EQ and all that stuff built straight into them. If that would work via an Android device, I'd be pretty surprised. But right now, using the AirPods Pro with an Android device, it's just like using regular Bluetooth earbuds. You just don't have all the built-in nuanced features that you get within iOS for them, but you can still use them at a basic level. And you don't lose anything in the sound quality department. So I think it's, I don't know, man. I think we are going to lose some of the features, but I just don't know what that's going to look like. But
that was such a telling sigh. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, my own fear is the fact that you're paying $550, right? So you're going to the premium of these guys, right? Yeah. And these are not even $550. And I wouldn't say I guarantee, let me not say that, but I can almost bet this probably sound better. That's just me throwing that out there. But the fact that it doesn't support any of the high-end codecs, to me, is concerning, because if you're going into that range, then just give me LDAC, give me aptX, give me everything that high resolution, that at least I know that you're packing everything that's needed for the best fidelity.
Hasn't it been kind of curious? I don't expect Apple to ever license a Qualcomm technology if they don't have to. I don't know that Apple and Sony have maintained any kind of long-standing relationship. Kind of early in the Apple consumer electronics days, I feel like there was a sight on Sony being the juggernaut of consumer electronics. But again, it doesn't seem like anything they've captured there. What I find kind of curious is, for all of Apple's posturing on H1W1 magic co-processors and chips, they've never given us an Apple lossless pass-through, where you literally just pass the signal of lossless audio to the signal processor on the headphones, and let the headphones do the decoding. Everything always goes over some kind of AAC compression.
Yeah. I think I don't think Apple even wants to, well, like you said, they don't want to license anything out. And for them, I believe AAC, at least in their thought, AAC is good enough, unless they're working on a new standard that we don't know about.
Well, that's what I mean, is utilizing their own Apple lossless audio. Make it proprietary. We know Apple is going to make their own standard, which means it's not a standard. It's just a consumer lock-in device, but at least do it at $550, or even AirPods Pro at $250. I would have had some expectation on the music that I get, and Apple has sold lossless audio music in the past. I would like the complete, even if some people claim it's you can't really hear the difference. I want that. I want all of the bits that I paid for getting shoved into my ears.
Yeah, 100%, man. That'd be what I'd be looking for, especially considering the price tag. And just give me, I mean, I would think give us everything, but I don't know if they're only looking at them as pairing them with an iPhone only, or Apple products only. So
see, but that's also an interesting part, right? If the philosophy is, okay, fine, we're targeting Apple consumers and they have iPhones, which it's fine, I get it, and they use Apple Music, except I want to see that breakdown of how many people use Apple Music and Spotify. I know Spotify still has a huge chunk on iPhones, right? So not not supporting standard codecs, even if you went with your own proprietary, doesn't help either.
Yeah.
Because it just means there's a clash, you're not getting some of the full features and all that kind of stuff. I think for me here is, as someone who likes audio and headphones, one of the things is design, right? Going away just from the audio, the sound part of it. Part of the design of these headphones I like. There's another half that just kind of gets me thinking, wondering why they have a crown for volume controls. I'm not trying to dig on Apple, but to me, it's going to be annoying doing this. See where my hand is? This is where the crown will be to turn the volume, where there are easier ways to do it. Or even still, I want to see better Siri integration.
So hold on to that thought for just a second. I want to come back to this, but I want to highlight this the super chat before we move on.
Sure.
Because they're just kind of talking about bit rates and stuff. So this is coming from Jerry Mo. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. Definitely appreciate the support. High bit rate is power hungry because you need to go to Wi-Fi direct. LDAC is pushing the edge of Bluetooth, if I recall correctly. You are absolutely correct. But we're not talking about $100 pair of earbuds. We're not talking about $200 over-ear cans. And so like when I use something like a FIO Q3, this entire thing has a pretty large battery, and I can really only expect about 8 hours of consistent playback from this because it's processing so much data. This and some planar magnetics and some DT770s, all cheaper than one pair of AirPods Max. So when I have an expectation that I want to properly reproduce the entire frequency spectrum and every single 0 and 1 of the audio that I have in my collection, then I am knowingly and willingly making a compromise for the best battery life because I want this. So that's where I have that concern about alternative codecs and why you can have 20-hour AirPods Max, but give me an Apple lossless pass-through mode that cuts the battery life down to 10 hours.
Yeah, but who says you can't? LDAC is on the Sony headphones, and they still push close to 24.
Well, but that's what I mean is like if we're talking lossless versus some other compression stage, we're deep in the weeds on like the head-fi, kinds of conversations, and where they're scalpeling every single little bit rate and codec down, whittling it down to its barest nuance. So like again, we can point to other examples, but I'm even saying just for Apple, if they had a proprietary lossless codec pass-through mode, I don't have expectations that the battery life hit would be so severe that it would render them unusable. And as long as I knew that as a consumer, saying like, a little pop-up, hey, if you're using the super awesome premium lossless mode, it's going to cut down your battery life. Cool. I want that because I want all the audio I paid for and get on with their life. But Apple doesn't seem to want to offer that. And again, I think that flies in the face of products that are called Pro and Max and have super, ever increasing price tags is kind of the point.
I think they're also counting on the fact that most people they're not going to be that discerning. Like in general, people are not going to be that discerning about it. And I think that's kind of where they're probably aiming at, because it's going to be up to us to, we're going to say, hey, they're pretty good, but for this price, like, we're going to have to really make that determination of where people's money should go. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm setting the bar high because at the price range, they are placing themselves above, like Hyphaman, above Sony, above Bose, above even Drop Panda THX. They're putting themselves above all these top names. So
one more super chat to that point, Jeff, and then I want to get back to what you were saying, about design, because Jeff and I have had some fun conversations about what headphones look like. So this comes by way of Devon, $20 super chat. Thank you so much again, supporting production, and we really appreciate the shout here. More curious about the ability to replace a sound bar for home movie theater, Apple TV, for people living in apartments or condos who can't use sound systems but want a surround effect. This price point makes a little more sense. And I have a sound bar and a big old subwoofer, and our condo is decently soundproofed from our neighbors, so we haven't been getting any complaints. I can kind of appreciate the notion of I live in a studio apartment by myself, but most of my TV viewing is sort of a family affair. You know, I'm watching movies with my daughter, I'm watching TV shows with my wife. I don't know. I mean, like, do you guys feel like that's the argument Apple's trying to make here is we've got a pair of headphones that can help you not have to spend as much on your TV sound equipment?
I don't think that's what they're aiming for. It's possible. I mean, because like the spatial audio can give you a pretty decent effect, and for that particular use case, it can be helpful. I know what that's like where you want to enjoy your movies, but like either you have to be quiet for your family, or you're in a small apartment, or maybe you're in a dorm, so you want a better experience. So I can understand that angle of it. I don't think that's really what they were aiming for, though.
No, I don't either. I think also, again, the launch of this product, how it was launched, the intro dictates how this product is to some degree. The reason I say this is because with the Apple's last launches over the last 2 months, right, roughly, it's been very clearly stated, with the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, Mini, the M1. Like, we have these products. This, I woke up and I already saw people posting about it. I'm not saying that they're not confident. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that there's a hint of it's good. Here it is. Take it. That's what I'm getting from this announcement. So I think they're putting this out there, and they feel that they will get that last minute Christmas rush for something shiny, something new, something grand from Apple, as opposed to, we looked at the M1, they made some grandiose statements, but it's lived up to a lot of the statements they've made. And you can easily tell someone, get an M1, fine, no problem, right? With this, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of goes, well, 2 weeks before Christmas, I need something. They like audio. Look, until I test it out, but this is where I am. And again, I can change my tune at that point.
But it was also you breathing through your teeth. It's like, I need something.
Yeah. So I really want to see, what their philosophy is here. Again, it's very vague with the specs and what it can do and those kind of things. But again, with audio too, when you go to, we all know this well, when you pass that $300 price point, then it becomes a calculation of like, what are you giving me? Do I hear everything? To me, I like it where it's more neutral, where I can hear everything. But if you throw in a lot of bass into a song, I can still receive that and still be crystal clear with my highs and and my mids are coming out. So those are the kind of things that people are looking for. But Jeff has a good point, though. It's like a lot of people won't discern this, and they will be fine because it's good. It most likely will be good. That's the thing.
All right, so I want to circle back, and I think AirPods look dumb. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they look like, because I don't look at myself while I'm wearing headphones. So if it's offensive to someone else, I actually do kind of like the look of the AirPods Max, and I kind of want to get back to what you were saying, E, about design.
Some of the design is, I think it's something you have to see. I like the look of the ear cups. I like that mesh feel. The top band is kind of off in my mind. Then again, I think it's just the way it looks from one angle to another. The position of the crown for the volume controls, to me, makes no sense. It's like the crown on the Apple Watch. I don't even know why they would include it in here. Like, I really don't understand, because doing this to change volume, it's already annoying, as opposed to either swiping down or just a tap underneath or something. But also, I think this is the biggest misstep here, is not showing us Siri integration. That should have been the big thing here, like enhancing that. It's probably going to have the base level. And to me, I think this is more to do with Siri has not improved like the other two smart assistants, as opposed to what we have with, Google and Alexa. So I wish they had focused more and say, look, you can do more with audio on this. Like, if Apple said no volume controls, and you spoke to your headphones, I would still even buy that over them taking any controls on there, because at least they are making an effort to say, we're pushing this kind of technology, we're making sure that this makes sense. So design wise, I mean, I agree with you. The AirPods Pro, I'm not a big fan of the design. This, I'm a bit mixed, but when you get to high-end audio, you get some very funky designs. I mean, this is not It's not as traditional as anything else. So I mean,
Yeah. So to your point, they've got this on the AirPods Max product page, one tap setup, and they've got a graphic for it. Seamless switching, so you can switch between different products. I mean, they have a graphic for it that doesn't show you anything.
That doesn't work as well as they are saying though, because when I'm using both my iPhone and my iPad while I'm editing, and the AirPods Pro are constantly banging back and forth between the two, it gets annoying. So.
And so they show you audio sharing where you can link up other people's gear so that you can all share the same audio. And then to your point, Thunder E, this is what they show for Siri. It's just a little text paragraph on the side. You could actually show something with Siri. Siri gives you a visual, right? Like that could be something. So where seamless switching doesn't have a visual, they're not confident. They're not showing off Siri as something that's like a really big selling point for this product. Just real quick, I like this from Jeremy here. Another quick super chat, and thanks, Jeremy, man. You've been on it for this broadcast. It looks like two Apple mice from 2006 on your head. And I mean, that might be a knock, but actually, I think that's clean. You know, I think that would actually be kind of a clean look.
Two magic mice.
Those two magic mice, and you know, all you have to do is plug the cable into the ear cup, so you can't wear them when you want to charge them, and then it would be just like Apple mice design.
Oh my god! Because the charging cable goes right into the middle of the driver.
Now, what do you guys think of the? Let me not be cheeky on this one. The smart case. I won't be cheeky.
Oh, we already. Let me go back to the.
The purse, you mean?
I was going to say the smart purse.
You know, the thing that's so frustrating about that as a gendered conversation is it's not even a good looking purse.
No, exactly.
Like even my wife would be like, no. So this is the thumbnail that I came up with for the live stream. That kind of sums up my feelings on their low power charge. No, it's not even a charge case. Their low power storage solution is pants on head dumb. I just think it's an absolutely awful way to store. It doesn't protect the device. It's probably going to help more gunk get trapped in the headphones, and it doesn't improve the durability for travel. You know, like a good hard case would. So I'm very not positive on their protection solution.
No, it doesn't. It's interesting. I see they're selling 3.5 to Lightning cables.
Where are you seeing that? I'm in the accessories right now, and I can't find.
No, you have to put that into your cart, the headphones, and then it pops up as.
Well, it's like that's dangerous. That's dangerous territory, sir.
Of course, because it's Apple. I'll pick sky blue, no engraving.
See, what I was telling them, what I was telling Juan was that the reason that they put that ugly case on it is because they're going to hit us with a $150 hard shell case.
That's funny because it's true.
You're right. Yeah. Watch.
Oh my god, it is. It's a $35 cable. Hold on. Let me blow this up here a bit just for my little. Lightning to 3.5. And again, for a company that is so concerned about environmental waste and e-waste and packaging, and it's not even, if I'm looking at this correctly, it's not a headset cable. It's a headphone cable. It's TRS. It's not TRRS. So they're going to hurt you even more by if you try to use these cabled. It's just we can't let you use the microphone. You can't take them for phone calls. It's such a shame. Why don't you just make sure you only ever use them wirelessly? Everything about that is such a pain point to make consumers use the product in only the way that Apple wants you to.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, if you're looking to order it now, your delivery will be March 5th to March 19th.
Dude, that first batch is gone. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
I mean, it also means that they didn't make a lot as well.
Yeah, it was a limited run for sure.
Man,
yeah, dude.
It's like so what you were saying, Thundery, and we had kind of talked a little bit about the timing on this, feeling a little tone deaf. Man, it really does feel like the holiday squeeze.
You're absolutely right. This is actually an opposite direction of what Apple has been doing, right? They released 4 phones. Pick a price point you want, right? That's cool. they released the M1, slightly cheaper, better performance. You're like, okay, cool.
That's
Like
good.
it's almost like you're getting a different type of Apple, and then the old Apple comes back. It's like, ha ha ha. Before you go anywhere, here you go. So even in pricing terms, like this kind of falls away from, it's deciding, should I pick up a pair of headphones or iPhone 12 mini? I would go for the mini.
Right.
I'm just saying that you're right. It's a bit tone deaf in that respect because it doesn't match your current lineup of products.
Yeah.
I mean, again, where I've
pricing.
been kind of snarky about Apple marketing, it just bothers me so much when there's so much magic hype on something like the M1 or the A14 or these individual products, unlabeled bar graphs. It's 2070 times more 11T better than any other product. And you're like, well, in what applications and what use, how? And like they never just show us the bar graph, where I feel like Apple can make these grand claims and actually give us good data. I'm very concerned about big grand claims and a low level of consumer education on these types of products, and then selling ideas like computational audio. And like I was telling Jeff before you jumped on the stream, and it was actually pretty close when you jumped on, it's like they're going to sound different. And then consumers are going to pick that up and say, oh, well, this sounds different than my AirPods did. And it's Apple, and Apple always gives me the best. So this must be what the best sounds like. And now, why would you ever use anything that doesn't have computational, spatial, adaptive EQ audio? And it's the same thing with photography. Having all of these bells and whistles for different kinds of HDR processing doesn't mean you're the winner. In fact, and often it can often degrade the quality of the images that you're trying to capture.
Oh no, I mean it does, and like to a degree, like when we talk about photography quickly, if you look at Marquez's photo challenge and what came up as the winner, right, it's completely antithesis of everything that you would think just from the blind test, right? Because again,
isn't it always funny how he stages a bracket and then has to explain, like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, people chose this, but it's not really the right choice because what they're looking for is saturation and like compression and stuff. But really, I mean, the better camera was this. It's always kind of shocking. Like, what was the last photo challenge where like the BlackBerry took out the iPhone in his showdown? And you're like, no, when we talk about protecting these average consumers and these trends, like, we're not really on the plot for what it is that people are really looking for.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when it comes to audio here, it's going to be an interesting challenge because I think even for a lot of people, spending $500 for headphones is rough. And I've noticed it with people with the AirPods Pro when it first came out, and it sold well. But I knew a lot of people who still were like, I don't want to spend $250. And then I'm like, okay, look, you can try out our good friends from Soundcore. I'm like, Soundcores are like $150. Check them out. They're still really solid. Or even if you wanted to go the Samsung route, you find a bunch of stuff there. So I think when you go to that $550 price point plus tax, $586, depending on where you live, you could even get close to the $600. Then it becomes
quick, with the super chat, Kayvon backing up. His $300 Sony neckband have a 3.5 millimeter input. So that's your gig. And thank you for the chat. I appreciate the support.
But what's interesting too is the fact I wanted to mention this about spatial audio and 360 audio and those kind of things is that they don't necessarily work for everything. And that's what some people need to realize is that some tracks are not meant to have that. Yeah. It's honestly, if I go back and, Jeff knows, we always tend to use Michael Jackson Beat It for a lot of my audio listening. And if I were to do that
but it's such a good album. Like the production is so clean.
If I was to use that on 360 audio, I have noticed it, or even spatial, some things are just off. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just off where I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to be. So the idea that, and I get it, 360 audio, spatial audio is great for movies because you can build sound around, you know. in that stage. And I think that's where some of that is. But again, we'll see how Apple pushes this come, next year with next set of devices and how they want to actually push the brand.
So I'm kind of just keeping an eye on the clock and knowing like I don't want to keep you guys all day, and it's a topic that I mean we can dig into for a bit. I know I can ramble on for a while about audio and hearing health and stuff like that, but one of the things that I want to pick your brains on, Apple seems to have a monkey see monkey do effect on the rest of the consumer electronics industry, and if Apple can come out with a normal dynamic driver, Bluetooth 5, no fancy codec, probably very respectable noise cancellation, but I doubt it's going to be magically different or magically better than some of the other solutions on the market. They're going to have good pairing options, which again, now all Qualcomm chipset devices have kind of the same capabilities in pairing and sort of multi-point solutions. Is this going to encourage a Sennheiser to add $100 to their next product just because they can?
No, it will encourage Samsung to make
and not give you a charger in the box on your next phone. After making fun of them for it, we knew Samsung was going to copy Apple.
Yeah, it will make Samsung the only benefit I have to that is that I do know that at least Samsung, the headphones are made by AKG. They're not doing the tuning anymore.
But I mean, like AKG isn't what AKG used to be. But I appreciate the point because I got tagged on that back in the old Samsung PR days.
Prior days, yeah. But at least but it's still the same set of AKG guys doing the tuning on the headphones, which is still one of the more important parts of it. But yeah, Samsung is the one who will be pushed to do this. I mean, I can see this happening with not the Galaxy Note, because it looks like the Note's going to be phased out. It's going to be with the Galaxy Fold 3 next year. They're going to release a pair, probably $400, maybe a $350, $400 range. But Sennheiser, I don't think so, because they have different ranges of headphones in price range.
We know Huawei's going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, we know Huawei's going to do
it. They're going to do it. Yeah. But yeah, Samsung, I agree completely. I don't think Sennheiser would, but Samsung for sure. So especially since they already have that division, I would not be surprised if we see a newer version of like the N60 or something like that. So.
But here's the funny part, though. I think they were thinking of doing this because I believe there's a leak that Max had mentioned about a pro version first of the True Wireless Buds, with basically the AKG buds. It was literally just that with branding and Samsung software, and they were thinking of a wired over the head version. But I think at that time, more people were moving towards True Wireless Buds, so Samsung was like, maybe we shouldn't do that. So I think now this just gives them in their minds, they're like, oh, we're thinking of this anyway, so might as well do it.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what the response is from more traditional recording manufacturers, because I mean, like I look at a company like Beyerdynamic. I like my Lagoons, but they definitely had some small issues with like the headband flex was a little noisier than I feel like a premium pair of wireless headphones should be. But then you look at their traditional recording solutions, the DT series, the 770s and the 990s and the 1990s, those have all been very reasonably priced in this current era. Like the pricing on that hasn't evolved or inflated along with the rest of the industry. Like you can get DT 770s if you want closed back for like 100, 150, somewhere in there. And that's like a staple of audio recording. That's like a generational kind of headphone. So I'll be curious to see, like what does an Audio Technica do? As they're pushing more into like gaming headsets and consumer grade audio. Sennheiser also numerous product lines that they can kind of play with, and the momentums have been consistent performers, not always like the highest mind share, but consistent performers in that consumer space. It's kind of interesting to me because it really does seem to just be a component of marketing, which kind of goes with the super chat from Jeremy. Jeremy, and thank you, man. You're joining this conversation in earnest. At this price point, it's a level of exclusivity. Other brands won't be able to pull it off because they don't have the brand strength. And I think that's a major part of it.
That's interesting too. That's very true.
Unlike Samsung and Apple, Sennheiser isn't spending $10 billion a year on marketing.
Yeah, true. I think this is where you will see more brand cooperation. I will see LG go back to Bang & Olufsen and say, hey, let's do something and let's create that. This is where, if I were Huawei, I do the same thing they did with Leica. Find a brand, whether it's Bear Dynamics, whether it's Audio Technica, and say, hey, look, let's make a Huawei branded, Bear Dynamic headset that, goes a long way. Especially, and I think Bear Dynamics is probably one of those companies that is at that tipping point. They got that huge push with the Gen Zs and younger kids when Ninja started wearing their headphones. And I remember I spoke to them. They're like, we did not send anything. He just picked it up and he started using it. And I guess maybe a friend or somebody told him and he was just like it. So if, those are the kind of things I think will happen. But you're right. Apple and Samsung will definitely do that first overall push. Maybe this will help, other headphone manufacturers to modernize in terms of streamlining things. Like, look at you talk about the DT line. There's so many headphones. If I tell someone to buy headphones from if I just said from the DT line from Audio Technica, from Ben, they'll get
meaningless. You're not helping. You're making the conversation harder.
Because somebody asked me once, they're like, "What are your favorite pair?" I was like, "My favorite pair are the Bear Dynamics DT 1990 Pro," and the price point has not changed since that headphone.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And then later on, they asked me, they're like, "Oh, are you talking about the DT 770?" I was like, 770 is good. I mean, you were asking at a certain budget, and this is what but that's the thing, like the confusion is there where Sennheiser needs to really clean up its line because they're the ones who people have some idea of who they are. They need to clean it up and make it more seamless where we know it's more of a price point jump and have one single brand that at least people understand. Okay, if it's going to be momentum, it's momentum. If you want to do stuff for the audio files, you can put that separately somewhere else. Right. Like those guys understand what's going on in the first place.
Yeah. I have those concerns because in years past I would have said like, oh well, Apple's going to make this play. They're running up the price spectrum, but reasonably there are going to be manufacturers that are going to compete on a price performance or a quality ratio. Oh no, they all just jack their prices up too. Great.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see the market move that way too, but thankfully there's still, just like I said before, thankfully this is like we're talking upper echelon like Dolby when they came out with 650 and we got these at 550 and there's Bowers and Wilkins and there's a lot of them that are at this crazy price tiers, whether the quality is worth that money. But there's, for people who say, yeah, that's too expensive. Hey, you know what? Cool. Good audio is much more accessible now in 2020 than it's ever been. Especially, whether you want a wired solution, whether you want in-ear monitors, whether you want wired headphones, whether you want Bluetooth, the price of entry for good has come down greatly. And just like I was telling people with Sony's, a lot of people were telling me, hey, should I get the XM4s? During Black Friday, there was XM3s being sold on Amazon for $150. So I was like, why? Even at $279 for the XM4, why? When you can get the XM3 for $150.
I would have loved to have been in that conversation where you just like, why?
Yeah. Why?
And then you just don't break eye contact until they start to squirm.
Because I'm trying to look out. I'm trying to look out for them. Like, because the difference between if you don't have any of the Sony noise canceling headphones, then hey, cool, this is going to be awesome. But 150, the difference between the XM3 and the XM4, it's double that price.
The pricing now is so weird. The XM3 is $251 on Amazon, about $216. Some places you can find used for $168. The XM4 is $278. So
Like what?
Well, and isn't that I mean, like, to kind of close out our conversation, isn't that also, I feel, one of the major failings of tech influencer style conversations? And one of the main reasons why I'm so appreciative that you two could take some time to chat through some of this stuff with me this morning. Audio doesn't cycle like other technologies. You know, I've got microphones that are almost as old as I am that are still, this mic that I'm actually recording on right now is I got used and it was already a decade old.
Wow.
So when you understand that at some point vibrations in air hit your ear and that your brain interprets that information, it doesn't get better like HD to 4K. It doesn't get better like processor generations. We've got this FOMO. And consumers have this feeling like, oh, well, you know, Sony just went from the XM3s to the XM4s. I better upgrade. And that's not how audio works. I feel like this is a missing component in our conversation where at $550, I want a generational audio device. I want something that's going to outlast several iPhones and be that consistent solution. And I'm not sure Apple's approaching their products in the same way that an audio recording nerd like me is looking at what premium audio should mean.
Well, I mean, they could go the route that they've gone with the Mac Pros, right? Where this doesn't get updated for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
You know, and then I mean, I give them props for that. If they go that route
sure.
where they're like, you know what, we're going to space this out. We'll keep updating the AirPods Pro, you know, each year, and that one gets better. And you're also right with the way we talk about headphones, because, you know, I do like the XM4s over the 3s, but in terms of audio quality, you know, I mean, it's so minuscule. It's certain things they've changed. It's the features. It's the features,
it's quality of life,
convenience
features.
Sure. Yeah.
Features. You know, the ability to start a conversation and the music just stops, to me is like one of the best things to have in a headphone.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that has to come into play, especially even with true wireless buds, because as they get better and better, you're going to come to a point where you can buy a pair of true wireless buds for 150, and that should last you for a good number of years until it literally dies. You know, you can't charge anymore, or something like that. So it's going to be an interesting space, and I think, again, Apple is going to disrupt, because that's what they do best, is shake up the industry in some form or fashion. The question is the audio industry ready to answer the challenge where the mobile industry and the computer industry has, I wouldn't say sort of failed, but they have not met the challenges where we know they should, in a sense.
I'd agree. Yeah. Again, we're kind of we're being very diplomatic, and we're kind of dancing around, I feel, a very similar sentiment. But, you know, at one point it's consumer education. At one point it's manufacturing. At another point it's competition. And I feel like there are these little mini gaps in between where some consumers are going to get, you know, lost in those gaps. You know, someone is really going to buy a product that's not the right fit for them, but they spent a lot of money on it, and they think that's what the best is, because we always think in terms of winners and losers, and I need the best, I deserve the best. I'm an educated consumer, and I bought something because I bought the best. When instead they're not really practically considering use, conditions, environment, what kind of music they like to listen to, what kind of movies they like to watch. And that's the concern for me. Is it's always the worst feeling when someone is describing the situation and immediately I can kind of grok, oh, you're trying to make something work for you that is the wrong fit for what you're trying to do.
All the time. I can't tell you how many times I have the conversation with people, especially in my comment section, where I'm basically telling them, hey, dude, you need to pick the right tool for the job. And what you're describing, your use case, this ain't it, chief. So you need to find something different. Like, you know how many times I get people who say, oh, you know, I need a solution for my teleconferencing and Zoom calls, but I want it to be true wireless and it has to be under $40. I'm like, it's not going to work, bro. Like, it's not, your people are going to hate you. So it's like, nah, you're the price of entry for what you're looking for is like $150 to $200. So here's what I suggest. You get a phone call center headset that runs you $25 and your people will thank you. Oh no, but I don't want that. I want one thing that's going to do everything. And I'm like, and for $40.
Sit down, take a breath.
All day, man. It's all day long. So it's one of those things where I tell people to get the right tool for the job, right? I'm not going to take it's like if you're going to go buy $1,000 worth of groceries, you're not going to take a motorcycle. So get the right thing for what you need. And some solutions just aren't it. But the other thing I also get from people is that they'll ask me like, hey, if I buy these $40 True Wireless earbuds, they're going to last me 5 years, right? I'm like, dude. I'm like, listen, one thing that I have to explain to you is that this is a disposable thing, which is sad.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this way. Hell no. But it is. And these batteries are not going to last that long. So I tell people, like, listen, if you spend $30 and you can get a year out of these, I'd say consider yourself lucky. If you can pull 2, even better. But
the one encouraging note on the AirPods Max is that immediately at launch, I couldn't find that cable just because they don't have it listed as an accessory. It's only when you go to checkout. So that bugs me already. So that at least there's some notion of maybe a batteryless playback option for when these batteries start to degrade. I was encouraged to see that they are already selling replacement ear pads. So there's some consideration for this product being repairable somewhat, to some degree.
Yeah.
I'm dying for an iFixit Terra.
Oh, can you mix and match the earpads?
Yeah, you can pop off the earpads.
Ooh, okay.
So again, that's a nice consideration. I've got HD25s, like little remote closed back Sennheiser kind of DJ style headphones that, again, we're going into, man, I'm getting old. We're getting into like 15 years of service, and the only replacement I've needed is swapping out the ear pads. Because
it's all right. You started using that when you were 15. It's fine.
Right. When I was 4 years old, I picked up a pair of HD25s, and we're getting on 15 years. But we're getting to the end. This is 10 o'clock. I've got a couple super chats here that I want to shout out real quick from Legit Montreal. Don't forget, Samsung already has their JBL and Harman over ears. Huawei put out a fantastic over ear this year already. Ben's Gadget Review did a very good review on those Huawei's. So again, I feel like there's some consideration for some of these others. I just feel like Huawei's going to look at this price and go, oh, well, as long as we don't charge $500, we can charge more. From JGJ, low-cost ANC is getting better in 2021. Do you think that, just quick, yes, no, maybe, do you think ANC is really going to improve over where we were here in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think it's going to be, if anything, we're going to bring better performance to a lower price point. But I think peak performance of ANC, I don't think that's going to improve too much.
So I think
I disagree.
Okay. Annabong disagrees. Why do you disagree? Ready, fight.
I can't tell you some of it, but I disagree.
Okay.
I agree on the low end part that it will. I think you're gonna get like $50 pair of headphones that will get better ANC. That's because Qualcomm is doing a better job on that side on their lower chipsets.
Yeah.
I think on the high end, you're going to see Sony and Bose, literally because of this announcement, either go back to the drawing board to tweak some things, or they already have things in the pipeline. But I think this will also spearhead. Go ahead and disagree.
Okay, I agree and disagree with you both. Real quick, I believe, Jeff, I think you're totally spot on that we're going to see the current levels of incredible ANC that we have today start breaking that $100 price tier.
Yeah.
Like one more's, just like stupid good ANC on a neckband. And now you can pick it up for like $120 on sale. I think we're going to hit that $99.99 this year. But what I think the next trend is going to be, and we just saw a whole bunch of app updates from Google and Apple on their adaptive hearing apps, those like sound boosting hearing aid kinds of apps. And I've been playing with those hearables that I think this next year, what we'll see isn't necessarily better noise reduction, but smarter scalpeling. So when you're in a busy environment, you can drop all that noise, but then you can enable a mode that you can hear human speech in real time processed out of all that noise. I think we're going to get more of these types of, like, these are the new Hera
Yeah.
So I think that's actually what the next trend might be for noise reduction, because at this point you can make noisy environments almost silent. I mean, it's scary how good. And I almost got killed in an intersection a couple weeks back because I was not wearing the right headphones to be walking around at night. That I think is going to be our next phase, is not just can we block out all noise, but can we start tailoring the noise reduction experience for certain situations and then use these to start blurring the line between headphones and hearing aids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I had another. Oh, and then JGJ is also saying you should sub to AV Excel. That's Patrick Norton's new show
Nice.
talking about audio video gear. And then Jeremy also throwing out, I think high-end audio like Sennheiser or Beyerdynamic is a different industry than consumer true wireless. I don't think they need to answer the customers are different. I think they're probably buffered a little there. I just think it's too intoxicating to look at Apple's profit margins and say like, oh, well, if they can charge that much, we could charge a little bit more.
You'd be shocked at how many high-end companies are joining the market.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. I think it's very different. I think they have to join in because, number one, they make a better product.
Yeah.
Now, it's true. Look, I'm sorry.
I appreciate the forthright delivery.
100%.
I mean, honestly, these are phenomenal, and they're Bluetooth because they have a specific Bluetooth dongle so that it doesn't interfere with anything else.
Yeah.
And they make good pair of headphones, but nobody knows. So they need to get into that market because the only way they will break through is if they put in their headphones at 350, 400, where people will go, where somebody goes, okay, let me try this out. You know, I'll give you that 30 days in return. And I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm not returning this. That's what they need to do. And that's the area where, they just need to be sensible and get better marketing.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's, for so many of my favorite consumer electronics brands, it's not usually the product, it's the consumer outreach, it's the education. It's like picking up an LG phone and then not telling anyone that it can support a real stylus, just like a Galaxy Note. And just, how was anyone supposed to know that?
Yeah.
And same thing, like, pandas are rad, but who's gonna know about them? In the general sphere of conversation outside of some of the enthusiasts who follow channels like ours. I feel like the consumer outreach, the ground game, and the advertising is something that almost all consumer electronics companies are kind of stumbling on, while Apple and Samsung are solving the problem by dumping as much money as they can into ubiquitous brand awareness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've talked about this for years, Juan. I mean, we complain about Microsoft for a long time.
I mean, like, and not even Microsoft. It was like literally every other company that isn't Sam Apple. Like, here are 10 ideas for low cost, high impact marketing. Take them.
We should have started that consulting firm, man.
We really should have. We'd be making
super rich.
Right now. All right, folks, we should probably start wrapping this stream up. The AirPods Max, if you wanted to order them now at the time of this live stream, you won't get them until second quarter 2021.
Yeah, March.
But I'll definitely be looking forward, especially Jeff, as you've got an order in, your thoughts, your review on that, because I'll probably, if I even pick them up, I'm going to be super late to that conversation. And E, are you going to grab a pair to review?
Oh, I already ordered them.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
expect no less.
I'll pimp out your videos, and that takes all the pressure off of me having to have my own opinion on them. I'll just so, Jeff, what are you working on, and where can people find you around the web?
So working on right now, I'm going to be doing a review of the iFi hip DAC. So iFi or iFi hip DAC. So pretty nice piece here. It can drive these Sennheisers, so I'm pretty impressed. But aside from that, El Jefe reviews. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and they can find me on Facebook as well. So yeah, no, man, you know how we do it. But that's where I'm at. El Jefe reviews. So
And Thundery, what are you working on, and where can people find you?
I've got a bunch of videos. One of them is behind me. It's 85-inch Samsung TV. So been doing some gaming on there, and playing the PlayStation 5 and Xbox when the PlayStation 5 doesn't crash. My bad, sorry. I'm just
It's
joking.
fair. It's fair. Again, it's an
fair.
expensive piece of electronics, and we have certain expectations when we spend a lot of money on something.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got a gaming monitor coming up, and I've got a Dell laptop. That video is sponsored, but it's really interesting because I've already covered that against the MacBook. But I really like it because I've been using it now for about 3 weeks.
Nice.
And it's just one that I think would be fun to just kind of play around and show people. But yeah, you can find me on Board at Work. You can also find the Colonel on Board at Work on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere.
Yeah.
So
It was dangerous territory talking about the phones for all of the Colonel's wives. So again, much respect
That was
for
an awesome
putting
video.
together a hilarious look at the year end for smartphones. I, of course, am some gadget guy across the internet. You can find me on the Twitters and the Twitches and the YouTubes, less so on the Facebooks and the Instagrams. I'm going to be looking at some other high-end audio gear, like kind of what you were looking at there, Jeff. I'm stoked on some of these adapters and amps and ways that we can improve that and especially in the context of not only just improving the quality, but there's some great tools to help enable healthier listening habits. And that's something I'm very excited going into the new year that audio tech is addressing that kind of stuff as well. So be on the lookout for all three of our channels, all three of our social media feeds. Lots of really cool stuff coming up and some fun conversations to be had. And in the way that I like to sign off, especially as we're through this holiday season, stuff is still really crazy out there. For anyone who's watching, who's streaming this, and for you, Jeff, and for you, Annabong, for you and your families, I always hope that you're happy, safe, warm, well-fed, but more so this year, keep an eye out for you and yours, look after your neighbors, try and be there as good tech neighbors and good tech citizens.
Yep.
So
thank you.
On that note, peace on earth, goodwill towards men. And I'll catch you all on some future video, on some future live stream. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for subscribing to all of our stuff. And we'll see you again. See you again real soon. Take care.